she was doing was compounding it by doing a poor job, too. As she neared the top of Acacia Road, where the agency was headquartered, Mary pressed her lips together and took several deep breaths. Her cowardly impulse was to turn and make one last circuit of Regent's Park, to spend just a little more time thinking matters through, as though she hadn't already been marching about St. John's Wood for the past 2 hours, as though physical movement might still her mind and soothe her nerves, as though she was calm enough to sort through the swirl of emotions clouding her brain. It was time to act, not to think. A few brisk steps took her to the house, with its wrought iron gates and polished brass nameplate, Miss Scrimshaw's Academy for Girls. The academy had been her home for years now, but today, looking at the nameplate, she willed herself to look at it as a stranger might, specifically as a 12-year-old boy might. The house was large and well kept, with a tidy garden and flagged path. But in contrast with those of the neighbouring houses, the front steps were swept, but not whitened, an essential task that proclaimed to the world that one kept servants, and kept them busy re-whitening the steps each time a caller marred them with footprints. The academy's irregularity here was the only sign of the most unusual institution that lay within. Suddenly, the front door swung open and disgorged a pair of girls, or rather young ladies. They were neatly dressed, neither at the height of fashion nor in the depths of dowdiness. They were having an animated conversation, and they looked curiously at Mary, whose nose was still inches from the closed gate. "Are you lost?" asked the taller of the two as they approached the gate. Mary shook her head. "No, miss." Her voice came out higher than she wanted, and she cleared her throat hastily. "I was bid come here." A fine wrinkle appeared on the girl's forehead. "By whom?" "I mean, I've a letter to deliver." The girl held out her hand. "Then you may give it to me." Mary shook her head again. "Can't, miss. I'm charged to give it to Mrs. Frame, and no one else. Is this her house?" She'd spent all morning working on her inflection, trying to get the accent right while keeping her voice gruff. The girl looked imperious. "You may trust me. I'm the head girl at this academy." Mary knew exactly who Alice Verney was. Head girl, indeed. She was only head of her year. "Can't, miss. Orders." Head girl's face twisted into a scolding look, but before she could speak again, her companion said, "Never mind, Alice. We'll be late if we stop to argue with him." "I'm not arguing, I'm just saying." The second girl unlatched the gate and nodded kindly to Mary. "Go on, then." Mary tugged her cap respectfully and dodged around the pair, leaving Alice scowling into the road. As she walked around to the side door, the front door wasn't for the likes of humbly dressed messenger boys, she grinned broadly. Her disguise had passed, well enough before Alice and Martha Mason, which was a start. Her small stock of confidence plummeted, though, as she walked down the familiar corridors, heavy boots shuffling past the carpet runners. It was one thing to slip past a pair of schoolgirls, and another to confront the managers of the agency. As she neared the heavy oak door of Anne Treleaven's office, her stomach twisted, and she felt a wave of dizziness. She'd been too overwrought to eat breakfast, or, for that matter, last night's dinner. As she raised one hand to knock, she had a sudden memory of doing precisely this, feeling exactly this way, just over a year earlier. That was when she'd learned of the existence of the agency, and embarked on her training as a secret agent. And here she was, not 14 months later, feeling as confused and anxious as she had back then. The thought gave her courage. She was not the same girl she'd been last spring, untrained, ignorant, hot-headed. Over the past year she'd learned so much. But it wasn't the physical techniques, sleight of hand, disguise, combat, that showed how she'd matured. It was her understanding of people, of calculated risk, that showed how she'd changed, as well as what remained for her to learn. It was all thanks to these women. She trusted them, and that trust would conquer the fear that made such a hard knot in her stomach. Somehow. "You ought not have accepted the contract, Felicity." Felicity Frame's confident smile did not waver. "It's an excellent contract, interesting, lucrative, and one that brings us to the attention of certain powers that be at Westminster. If we impress them with our work in this instance, this could be the start of a whole new era for the agency." Anne Treleaven was careful to keep her expression neutral. "Such grandiose claims do not change the fact that you acted